Okay, so we're going to go over some definitions real quick. Okay, so widow is when a paragraph is on the bottom of a page and the last line of the paragraph goes on to the next page. Okay, so the last line of the paragraph goes on to the next page. So that'd be like if this sentence, right? So let's say I have all three of these sentences on the same page, and then the last sentence goes to the next page. That is a widow. Okay, and then an orphan is when the first line of the paragraph is on the bottom of a page and the rest of the paragraph's on the next page. So that would be if this sentence is on the bottom of the page and then the rest of it goes on to the next page. Okay, so if I was trying to change those settings, I would go to the paragraph dialog box launcher. Okay, and I'd go to lines and page breaks tab, and then I would make sure that that's selected. Okay. And then I can choose like if I want to keep it with the next, keep lines together, etc. Okay, so that might be a setting that you will need to change on some of your assignments. Main focus of today, though, is going to be working with columns. Okay, so we're going to make this document look so pretty. Okay, so let's go to the top of the document, and we're going to change the left and right margins to 1 inch. Okay, so margins, if you remember, we go to layout and margins. Okay, and I'm going to go custom margins, and I'm going to go let's make sure that the left and right margins are 1 inch. So 1 inch and 1 inch. Okay, and click OK. Okay, so now I'm going to place the insertion point in front of the F in free checking. And then in the page setup group, I'm going to click the drop down arrow next to columns, and I'm going to select 2. Okay, so it's going to change everything to 2 columns. Okay, so notice that all the text before and after the insertion point was put into 2 columns, right? So you can see that this is in a column and this is in a column, right? It wasn't just anything after. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to undo the column. And so let's hit just the undo button. Okay, and this time I'm going to choose a drop down for columns. Okay, and I'm going to choose more columns. Okay, so this is going to let me customize. I'm going to select 2 columns because I want it to be 2 columns. And then in the apply to section, I'm going to select this point forward. So instead of whole document, I want to do this point forward. So that way the top 2 titles, right, because I haven't selected right there, the top 2 titles are not going to be turned into columns. Okay, and I'm going to click OK. So you can see, right, it's just these that are put into columns. So let's go back to more columns. And we're like, you know what? Maybe I don't like the way I had it set up. So let's go ahead and change it to 3 columns right here. And then I also want to put a line in between each one. So I'm going to click line between. Okay, and then I'm going to click OK on this one. Okay, so now I have 3 columns. Okay, and then I want us to change the orientation to landscape. Okay, so now I've got section break and I've got this. It looks all fancy. Okay, and then let's change the top and bottom margins to 0.5. So we're going to click on our margins again, custom margins, and I want the top and bottom to be 0.5. Top and bottom, 0.5. Okay, and then we want to make sure it applies to this section, or we want to do whole document. Okay, because otherwise it would have just been that one section. Okay, so now it puts everything onto that page, and we have everything on this page. Okay, and then let's place the insertion point before the V in value checking. So where's value checking? Right there. Okay, so make sure that I'm clicked before that. And then in the breaks section, I am going to do a column break. Okay, so that's going to move this text to the next column. Okay, and let's go ahead and place a column break before each of these that need it. So breaks and column break. And breaks and column break. Okay, so now I've got 4 columns. Okay, now you probably noticed that we're going to have to change this to a 4-column section, right? But before we do that, let's go to page 1. And we're going to go ahead and center these headings. Okay, so I'm going to highlight both of them, and I'm just going to click home and center. Okay, so now that looks all professional or whatever. Okay, so let's go back to the first column. We've got to click somewhere in the first column, and then we're going to click more columns right? So we're on layout and columns, more columns. Okay, and then we want to type 4 in the number of columns, right? It doesn't have a setting for it. We're just going to click 4. Okay, and then the text in the width box. Okay, so width is right now it's at 1.8, and we want to type 3. Let's see, and then you should see that automatically changed to 2.3. So what I forgot to mention, when that box is not clicked, you can change them to be not equal, right? But when they're clicked, it'll automatically, when I tried to do 3, it automatically went to the size that would fit all of them. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and click OK now. Now you can see that they all fit. Okay, and then let's go ahead and free checking needs to, we need to make sure it's aligned vertically. Okay, so we're gonna change the space before. So right now you can see spacing before is at 10, we're gonna change that to 0. And that should make it so they're all lined up correctly. Okay, and then now we wanna change the left and right margins to 0.5, right? So we are gonna go to margins. Let's go ahead and do custom margins. We want the left to be 0.5 and the right to be 0.5. That should space us out a little bit better. Okay, right, so now we can see things a lot better. Okay, and let's go ahead and place our insertion point after the E in guarantee, which is right here. And we're gonna press enter. Okay, and then I'm gonna remove the bullet by selecting none on the bullet menu. Right, so click none. So now I don't have a bullet there. Okay, and then we're gonna type in, we value your business. Okay, and then we're going to select this new text we just wrote. Okay, and then the spacing after we want to put to 0. So that's in the layout. Spacing after, let's put that to 0. So it's nice and tight. And then we're going to click the drop down arrow for columns. And we want to select 1. Okay, so now it puts it so it's just in first column. And then we're going to center it and bold it. So let's click home, let's center it and bold it. And then change the font size to 22. And then the color to a dark blue. Okay, so if I were to change the color, click here, dark blue is going to be this one probably. Okay, and then last thing we're going to do, we're going to go to the bottom of the document, press enter 2 times, 1, 2. Insert solid circle bullet. Okay, solid circle bullets. How do we do that? We click here, solid circle, right? And we're going to type 4 different names. Okay, so we can do any names. So I'll do my name. Who are some cool people? Han Solo, Deadpool, and Ryan Reynolds. Okay, how cool is that? And then what we're going to do is we're going to increase the indent spacing after the bullets to 1 inch. So we'll select the list of 4 names. We're going to right click. We're going to select adjust list indents. Where is that? There we go. Adjust list indents. And then we want to change it to the text indent to 1. Right, so text indents 1. So now you can see it creates some space. Okay, so that should cover everything you need for your Chapter 5 assignment. Good luck.